and it's the most valuable thing I own. فما تأمرني, what do you tell me to do with this? فقال صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم إن شئت حبست أو حبست أصلها وتصدقت بها. If you will, then you will make the land itself, the origin, the root, the commodity itself, endowment. Habasa comes from the same concept of waqf, which is to make an endowment. وتصدقت بها, and you make sure, and everything that comes from it is charity, is given to the Muslims. قال فرضي عمر الخطاب accepted that. فقال أصلها لا يورث ولا يوهب ولا يباع. He said that the possession itself, the land, cannot be gifted, cannot be sold, and cannot be inherited. It stays as it is. ويجعل ما يخرج منها, and whatever comes from it, للفقراء والمساكين والقربى وابن السبيل وفي الرقاب وفي سبيل الله والضيف. This is what Umar al-Khattab said. He said, and whatever comes from it goes to the poor, the needy, those who are fi sabilillah, warriors or students, refugees, ibn as-sabil, and relatives, and ضيف, guests. ولا بأس على من وليها أن يأكل منها بالمعروف. And there's no problem for whoever is responsible for it, the manager of this land, to take and eat for himself, and to take for himself as well, to consider managing it. وأن يطعم منها صديقا غير متمول بها. And you can feed a friend if you like, غير متمول, but you don't make money off it. You don't sell. You don't take something and sell it. No, this is nothing of it for sale. And that was the first on record. I'm sure there were before, but the first one on record where the Prophet ﷺ pointed out to one of the Sahaba to make something waqf, and the Sahaba did it. So I'm sure it happened before, but this is the first one we have in terms of timing, early in the Madani period, right after Badr. Right after the Battle of Badr, Sayyidina al-Khattab did this, because after that we had the story of Bi'r Roma, and it kind of went on and on in terms of people taking things and making them endowments for Muslimin, for what the Muslims need. But I always find it interesting because Umar al-Khattab, there's a few things. He came and he told, and he didn't ask the Prophet ﷺ about some garbage piece of land that he had. He actually came to the Prophet ﷺ once he obtained the most valuable thing he had ever obtained. Right? لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. You don't achieve the highest degrees of piety and closeness to Allah until you give from that which you love the most. So he understood this. So he came and asked the Prophet, so I love this piece, what do I do with it? Tell me. I want the biggest amount of ajr possible. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't tell him just to give it sadaqah. No, he gave him the advice of making it waqf. And there's some actually evidence that that piece of land still exists in Medina today, and it's still mawqufa. And I know that because one of my teachers actually attests to it, and he can go. It's a small orchard that still stands. It's not as obviously flourishing as it was 1,000 years ago, but it's still, the actual piece is still there to be seen. It's still waqf. And I always found the way the Prophet ﷺ explained it was interesting, and how Umar al-Khattab put it was also important. And I think we should do more of that for our community within our limitations and our abilities, inshallah ta'ala. يروي الإمام البخاري في صحيحه عن عبد الله بن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنهما قال: أتى عمر مال فأتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال: يا رسول الله أصبت مالا والله ما عندي من مال هو أنفس منه قط فما تأمرني؟ فقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: إن شئت حبست أو حبست أصلها وتصدقت بها. فرضي عمر فقال: أصلها لا يورث ولا يباع ولا يوهب ويجعل ما يخرج منها للفقراء والمساكين وابن السبيل وفي سبيل الله والقربى والضيف ولا جناح على من وليها أن يأكل منها بالمعروف وأن يطعم منها صديقا غير متمول به. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحانك وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت استغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد. جزاكم الله خير، بارك الله فيكم. إن شاء الله حلقة التفسير تبدأ